The New York Jets offense, it's actually shaping up quite nicely. Now listen, the New York Jets are 3-9. Offense, extremely inconsistent. But ever since they went to Tyrod Taylor the last 2 weeks, and we have new players like Adonai Mitchell and John Mechie, things have shifted a little bit on the offensive side of the football. And in this video, I want to break down everything you need to know about the offense led by Tanner Engstrand and, of course, head coach Aaron Glenn. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments down below about your overall impressions of this Jets offense so far in these last few weeks. We broke down a really deep and detailed last video about Adonai Mitchell and how what he's doing right now is going to change everything, not only for this season, but for the future of this squad moving forward in the 2026 offseason. But in this one, I really want to focus in on the offense, go into the offensive line, the playmakers, the quarterback position, the running backs, the scheme in general, and really break down everything you need to know and why it feels a little differently right now about this overall offense. So getting straight into it, I feel like the problem with the offense all season has been pretty simple: inconsistent, right? They have a game where they look great. They have a game where they're good for the opening drive, and then they have 3 and outs, and then they're good, and then I feel like we're seeing a little bit more consistency. Now, it's definitely not where we want it to be. And let's also keep in mind that Tyrod is the bridge quarterback right now. It's not like we have the Giants, for example. They have their young quarterback in Jackson Dart, and they're just trying to figure out a way to build around the quarterback. Where the Jets, for example, it's kind of the opposite, where we have our bridge. We don't have our quote-unquote franchise quarterback that we're invested in yet, but what the Jets are trying to do is build the infrastructure around the quarterback, so whenever that new quarterback comes in this offseason, there's a little bit more of a system in place, or an infrastructure, a foundation for that quarterback to walk into. And I think that is what the focus is right now for Aaron Glenn's New York Jets and Tanner Engstrand, and which is why they went to Tyrod Taylor. And I know there's a lot of people that have been in my comments, roasting me about being too harsh on Justin Fields and, all that type of stuff. But let's just keep it real for a second, man. Tyrod is the guy that needs to be the quarterback for this season. And that is exactly why what we saw in the Atlanta Falcons game, he knows how to operate an offense. And listen, Tyrod is a backup quarterback. He's not great. He's not a top 10 quarterback in the league. We know what we're getting from Tyrod. But what I love about Tyrod, and I respect him, is he's a veteran that can command the offense with confidence. And I think that's what held this offense back with Justin Fields, where he lacked that overall confidence of knowing exactly where the ball needs to go, having confidence to let the ball rip and not be shy to let the ball rip down the field, and not allowing his playmakers to get opportunities consistently. And of course, being someone that can step up his game in the clutch. We saw Tyrod go out there and make plays after plays. And the best part about it is we're seeing Adonai Mitchell in his 3rd game as a Jet completely break out onto the scene. And I don't know about you guys, but the idea of AD Mitchell next to Garrett Wilson and John Mechie in the slot, that's going to be exciting, man. I don't know when Garrett Wilson is going to get back and healthy, but the good news is it's going to be eventually this season. If the Jets, we don't really know the status. If maybe the Jets want to shut down Garrett Wilson and be like, hey, there's still risk of injury. Let's shut you down for the year. Let's get you ready for 2026. I would not be mad about that, honestly, because the overall goal is to keep Garrett Wilson healthy for next season more than anything. The last thing we want is for him to come back and re-injure the same knee, because remember, he injured the knee. He gets back on the field against the Browns, I believe that was that game, and then he re-injures it. And that was not really a good thing. We don't want Garrett Wilson out there if there's any risk of re-injury. But all of a sudden, when it comes to this offense, personnel-wise, it's not as bad as it looks. Like, from a talent perspective and an execution standpoint, I like it. The offense against the last game, of course, against the Falcons, they did not look good in the first half, but they woke up in the second half. And I think that the run game is still a little inconsistent. Breece Hall was really trying to run that football, and the Jets were really honing in. You got to give the Atlanta Falcons credit. This past Sunday, their game plan was to stop the run. And the cool thing about what the Jets did offensively, and Breece Hall said this himself, the Jets' game plan entering that game was not to run the football. It was actually to throw. And that's why Tyrod is the quarterback. You can't throw the ball consistently with Justin Fields at quarterback, but you can with Tyrod Taylor. And the reason why the game plan was to throw the football was because they knew the Falcons were going to be really trying to prioritize stopping the run against Breece Hall. And that's exactly what the Jets did. That's why we saw that touchdown to AD Mitchell, that 52-yard bomb. That was because on a 1st and 10 at near midfield, they knew that the Falcons were going to be in a certain defensive look, and when that defensive look was on the field, they were going to call the shot to the end zone. They practiced it all week long. They watched the film against the Falcons defense. They knew what Jeff Ulbrich was going to do on 1st and 10. looking at a run type of play, the Jets were going to do a play action shot down the field, and that's exactly what it was, and they executed it perfectly. And I don't know if you guys watched the interview with Breece Hall of his perspective of that play. Tyrod was in the huddle, they call it, and all of a sudden there's like supposed to be 2 motions, but the shot clock, the play clock is at like 7 or 10 seconds, so he can't even do it. He goes, set hut, can't do the emotions, snaps the ball, and just fires the bomb down the field. A little underthrown, but it's still a touchdown. That is why Tyrod is the guy right now, because he has that calm, cool, collected nature where doesn't get panicked, knows where his receivers are. And the cool thing about Tyrod that I respect a lot as well, folks, is he's putting a lot of time and effort into having A.D. Mitchell and John Mechie in the meeting rooms and getting them on the same page with them, getting them up to speed. This is a brand new playbook, folks. And the fact that both Mitchell and Mechie got traded here just a month ago, they did not have training camp. They did not have OTAs with this football team. They started this season on the Colts and the Eagles. So they're still learning this offense. And I think people need to really value what it means to have live reps in an offense, understanding things. Because when you're a wide receiver, and you're thinking about what play needs to be called, what route am I doing, where's my blocking, like where am I supposed to be, it holds your talent back. That's why when you're in the same system for a long time, you don't have to think. You hear the play call, it's instinctual. That's when things start to get into the flow state. Right now, they're in the adjustment period where A.D. Mitchell and Mechie are out in the field, and they're like, they hear the play call, they're like, okay, what's my play? All right, let's go. Let's execute. And they're doing a good job. But when they get more comfortable in the offense, that's when things start to get flowing. That's why when you see around the NFL, in my opinion, one of the biggest weapons that some teams have is continuity, is the same system year in and year out. So they can get comfortable with the same lingo, the same language, the same exact type of tendencies, and I think the Jets are trending in that direction. Now, the offensive playmakers, I do think there is a lot of upside. Arian Smith, I do want to highlight here. Aaron Glenn mentioned that the healthy scratch is going to stay in between him and the rookie wide receiver. He's disciplining him. And I think Aaron Glenn has done a really good job this season of disciplining guys, keeping it behind closed doors. Remember, he benched Jamie Sherwood for a drive. He also benched Quincy Williams. He's not afraid to bench players. And I think that Arian Smith, he needs some type of spark. And if he's a bust, I'm not going to be whining and crying about it because Darren Muji was so proactive of getting Mechie and Mitchell. If he did not trade for Mechie and Mitchell and we're going into the offseason with just Garrett Wilson and Arian Smith and then the veterans of the guys that are not going to be here next year, Lazard, Johnson, and Reynolds, that's a tough position group. But now all of a sudden, we got Mitchell, Mechie, and Garrett Wilson, and Arian Smith. That wide receiver room is a strength all of a sudden, especially when you add the context that they're going to add a free agent and draft a wide receiver. So all of a sudden, the position of weakness at wide receiver is going to be a strength, in my opinion, for the 2026 season. Now, when it comes to the tight end position, Mason Taylor, he's still getting his... Like, he's not breaking out, right? It's not like Mason Taylor is lighting up the league, but I do think that he has shown enough in my eyes that I'm comfortable with Mason Taylor being the starting tight end moving forward. Jeremy Ruckert, I'm not too sure. I think the Jets are going to replace Ruckert next year. He is a pending free agent, I believe. I think the Jets are going to sign a veteran free agent at the tight end spot and probably draft another one to really fill out that tight end room. And then the offensive line, what more can you say about the offensive line, man? I think that what we're seeing is a rising star in Armand Membo, right tackle. Olu Fashanu all of a sudden has been one of the best pass-protecting left tackles in the entire NFL, quietly just dominating. And if you watch that play where A.D. Mitchell had that 50-plus yard touchdown catch, Olu Fashanu completely was a wall on that play, which allowed Tyrod Taylor that extra time to allow Mitchell to go down the field for the touchdown. Olu Fashanu and Armand Membo, do you know how awesome it is? And I really, really hope that Jets fans are not taking for granted what we have in these two bookend tackles. Like, we've waited a long time since, you know, DeBrick and Mangold, may rest in peace. We love you, Nick, as always. And I think that the offensive line has been such a hit or miss. Joe Douglas tried to fix it, and you got to give Douglas some credit. He whiffed on Mekhi Becton, of course, but he did draft Olu Fashanu. He did draft Joe Tippmann. He did sign Josh Simpson. So, you know, there is something, John Simpson, excuse me. There are some things Joe Douglas did that was okay. And then Darren Mugin, Aaron Glenn, they draft Armand Membu, they sign Myers, and then this offensive line's looking really, really solid right now. The big question I have is the offseason, what's it going to look like? Because Myers is a free agent, AVT is a free agent, Simpson is a free agent. So the interior of the offensive line is going to be a little bit of a hit or miss in terms of continuity. But there's one guy I really wanted to make sure we highlight is Joe Tippmann. He was supposed to be the center for this football team, but when AVT got injured, they kicked him to right guard, and now Joe Tippmann is playing like one of the better right guards in the entire NFL. So the Jets have 3 young, promising studs on the offensive line in Fashanu, Tippmann, and Membu, which is a really exciting feature that Jets fans should really appreciate. Now, going over to the running back position, man, Breece Hall is as versatile as you could possibly get, and he is such a big piece to this offense, and I know that a lot of people are worried that he's not going to be here next year, but I don't know. I'm getting a little bit more confident that he's going to stay around because you're seeing this team really value Breece Hall. They're utilizing him. They're giving him his touches. They are really using him all over the place out of the backfield as a weapon. Screen passes. They're giving him his touches. Breece Hall had a career high against the Falcons. He was on the field for 90+% of the snaps, which is very awesome. Last game, 2 games ago against the Ravens, I saw a little bit too much of Isaiah Davis in my eyes. So really cool to see them use Breece Hall as a 3-down back like he's supposed to. And let's also not forget about Braylon Allen. Like, Braylon Allen is supposed to be a big piece of this offense. And unfortunately, I thought he was going to break out onto the scene this year. Remember, he had a heck of a training camp. He had a good start to the season. He fumbled the ball against the Dolphins, which is not good at all. And then he got injured in that same game. I don't know why that he was returning a kick on that where he injured his knee, which is unfortunate. So let's not forget about Braylon Allen. The Jets still have him for 2 years after this season. Hopefully that knee is going to be good to go. I don't know if we're going to see Braylon Allen again this year. Maybe it'd be just smart to shut him down. There's no really reason to force Braylon Allen out there this season. But that's something to keep in mind, that the Jets do have Braylon Allen for next year as well as they enter the offseason with Breece Hall. But at the end of the day, this offense right now, I do think it's something to be excited about moving forward. Because at the end of the day, the offense is going to make or break the success of this football team moving forward, and it's all going to be about the quarterback position. Special teams is playing out of their minds. Arguably one of the best, if not the best, special teams unit in the entire NFL. The defense, that's a whole other conversation, which we'll save for a separate video. But the offense, this is what we're going to come back to. I said it to start off the video, and I'm going to say it again. The Jets' goal right now is to build a foundation and a system where whatever quarterback the Jets bring in, whether that's in the draft or free agency or the trade market in the offseason, that he's coming into a really good situation, man, with a solid offensive line, with weapons, and with a system and a foundation involved. When the Jets drafted Zach Wilson, they did not have that. When the Jets drafted Sam Darnold, they did not have that. When the Jets drafted Geno, they did not. We can keep going. I mean, the Jets are one of those teams where you never have a right system. So the big question of everything, which we'll be talking about all offseason long, is this one right here. Should the Jets just use these draft picks in the 2026 draft, maybe not on a quarterback, and keep filling out the roster and punt the quarterback position to 27? So then when the Jets go into the 2027 draft, the team is even better around the quarterback, and that's where we get our guy? Or do we go in and get our quarterback now? I mean, that's a debate we're going to have for months on end leading into this offseason, of course. But there's an argument to be made. There's an argument to be made because the Jets right now are not in the top 3 of the draft. I do think they're going to still win some games. I think they're going to win a game or two to finish off the season and get like 5 wins, maybe 6 wins. Because I know a lot of people want that top pick, but they're not getting it, man. I think this team is too good right now at this stage of the season, winning 3 of their last 5 games. So I think that there's an argument to be made. Could the Jets go into this first round, draft a defensive tackle, draft a wide receiver, maybe draft a corner, maybe draft a safety? There's still holes on the roster. Like, there's not a lot of talent on this team. So the big question is, are they going to not draft that quarterback? Maybe they'll get one in the offseason. If they go that approach, who's the quarterback going to be, right? Are they going to go after a bridge like a Mac Jones? Are they going to go after another bridge that we're not really thinking about? What if Tyrod keeps playing really good football? What if we're like, all right, let's keep Tyrod as the bridge and draft a guy in the mid-rounds, and then we'll go into the 27 for a quarterback? There's a lot of options, obviously. So you guys let me know where you stand, but I do think that the offense is going to be really, really fun as the season progresses. I think that the offense right now is being built so a quarterback can be plugged in and it can be a quarterback that all of a sudden has all the weapons at his disposal. So you guys let me know your thoughts about the overall state of the New York Jets offense. I'm really excited about this offense moving forward, and I think that at the end of the day, it's all going to be about that quarterback position and if Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji are going to find that guy. I got confidence in Muji, bro. That's all I'm going to say about that. Big shout out to Sleeper for being the proud sponsor of Jets Media all season long. If you guys have not checked them out by now, I don't know what you're waiting for. Use the code JETS and you'll get a 100% deposit match up to $100. So go out there and check out Sleeper Picks. You get $20 for free as soon as you sign up today, folks. So don't forget to check them out. Cannot thank them enough for being the proud sponsor of Jets Media all season long. Link at the top of the description, folks. And don't forget to comment down below a plane emoji if you stayed all the way to the end of the video. Let me know your thoughts about the offense. What players on the offense are you excited about? Because I really do think that all of a sudden this offense is looking a lot better than what we thought it was earlier on in the season. So you guys let me know your thoughts. Hit the thumbs up button, and let's go Jets. Peace.